Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and one of the questions that I get asked a lot, which always surprises me because this really isn't a novice's channel, but it's if someone is skinny fat, should they bulk or cut? Because people have noted that I tell you you should always be bulking or cutting. I'm not a fan of most people trying to recomposition and stay the same body weight. We have whole videos explaining why. But they'll come up with the one of skinny fat. And here's what we need to understand. When we talk about skinny fat, we can define that. We can define skinny fat as someone who is in the normal body weight range, right? You can pull up a BMI chart. And for people who say, BMI charts aren't accurate, in this case they are, because these are non-lifters. You know, when we talk about BMI charts having problems for lifters, we're talking about very advanced lifters. You've only been in the gym 3 months, you don't even need to worry about that, right? We're talking about people who've been training extremely hard 5 or more years. Anything short of that, yes, we can use the BMI chart. If you're in the normal range, but you look like you have a lot of fat and very little muscle, how would we even define that? Being in the normal range with a belly. If you're in a normal, healthy BMI and you have a belly and you're really, really weak, right? You're skinny fat. It's not the same as being fat or skinny. Those are completely separate. We can define those very easily. You can go to a BMI chart. You're at the low end of the healthy range, or you're below it, right? You're below ideal. You're skinny. If you're overweight on the BMI chart and you don't have years of lifting experience, you're overweight. It's that simple. It is that simple. Now, a person who's in just a normal range and doesn't have a belly and doesn't have, 9-inch diameter biceps with a belly that sticks out, they're not skinny fat. Because people get skinny fat by just having a bad lifestyle but not eating enough to get overweight and being completely sedentary. That's what causes it. Now, the other two, the answer is very, very obvious whether they should bulk or cut. If you're skinny, you need to bulk. Not even worry about fat gain either. I mean, up to a threshold. I have skinny underweight lifters gain 2 to 3 pounds per month if they hire me as a coach. Okay, 2 to 3 pounds a month. Pretty aggressive bulking every time. If someone's overweight, they probably need to trim down to a healthy body weight and then bulk. And they probably need to bulk for a couple years. They probably need to. Not unreasonable. So the skinny fat people say, well, what do we do if they've got too much fat? Well, what's their body weight at? Because a skinny fat person isn't fat. We have two choices. They can bulk or they can cut. Because if you try to recomp from this point, you're going to triple the amount of time it takes you to get anywhere. Well, if they cut, it goes really badly. I've seen it happen multiple times. A skinny fat person thinks that they're supposed to cut till they have abs. Instead of just saying, okay, I'm skinny fat, I need to lose 5 pounds or 2 kilos of fat, and then bulk, they never do that. I've had it with clients, and I've seen it with other people. The skinny fat person doesn't understand that they're not going to gain muscle. That all they're going to do is display what's already there when they cut. And so they start losing weight and realize, well, I don't look any better. Of course you don't, because you don't have any muscle. And they'll keep cutting because they still don't have a look they want. And surely if they just lose 5 more pounds, they'll get there, and then 5 more. And before long, what happens is that the skinny fat person drops down to an unhealthy body weight. And as they do so, what happens? They still don't look how they want to look. And they're sure not performing how they want to perform. They tend to gain very, very little muscle, if any. And usually when they start cutting lower and lower, they start losing muscle because they still don't know how to program perfectly. So when a skinny fat person cuts, they end up just skinny and underweight, and they look sickly and malnourished. Because all they did was remove the body fat to show the lack of muscle that they had. right? You're going to get smaller when you cut. Now, people say, well, what about if they just cut to a healthy body fat percentage? Well, how do you know your body fat percentage? I get that asking questions too. Hey, I'm whatever body fat. As a novice, should I cut? How do you know your body fat? Estimated it. Hey, shut up with that. You didn't get a DEXA scan. I don't want to hear what you think your body fat percentage is. Right? You don't know. Base it on scale weight for a novice. Either you're underweight, normal weight, or overweight. If you're overweight, you need to cut. If you're underweight, you need to bulk aggressively. Skinny fats need to bulk slowly. Right? The skinny fat person is in a position to make lean gains. That's one of the few demographics who can make lean gains. I always tell people lean gains are borderline impossible. There are only a handful of situations in which they can occur. Because if you're skinny fat, you have to be a novice, because you wouldn't be skinny fat, because you would have some muscle if you've been training for a year. They're in a position to make lean gains because they have a slightly higher body fat, meaning they already have a little bit of energy reserve built up, and they have very, very low muscle tissue. That person can make straight lean gains. Someone who's skinny fat can gain 1 pound a month. 1 pound a month. And they will probably get leaner. If they did that for a year, they will probably lose, if they train perfectly, they will probably lose a little bit of body fat. Their body composition will improve. That's what they need to do. They just need to do a very slow, careful bulk. Gain 1 pound a month. Or they could gain a little more if they don't mind gaining a small amount of fat, and then they can diet later. But the whole point here is that they need to focus on gaining muscle, because you have to commit to one or the other. Recompositioning usually leads to wheel spinning. You've got to commit, bulk or cut. And in this case, the skinny fat person has nothing to cut down to. All they do is get sickly and weak when they cut. So what does that leave them bulking? And we come back over to how fast should we bulk? Well, they've already got a little body fat. They can't afford to really gain much more, but they need that muscle tissue. So they would just slow bulk. They would slow bulk. The problem also there is that when I say that for the skinny fat guy, the skinny guy will hear the same thing. And I can tell you right now, if you don't correctly identify yourself and you try to follow this advice, you're going to get no results. If you're just skinny and you try that slow bulk of lean gains only like that, you're going to gain half the muscle that you should have gained, or even less. That's what's going to happen. So you need to correctly identify yourself with these things. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.